Hey, what's up? Hey, thanks for watching my first video. Today's Friday, iPhone day. Just had to stop at Starbucks to, get some caffeine because today is gonna be a long day. Me and my daughter went and did the midnight, or not even the midnight launch, the 8 a.m. launch, starting at about 9 p.m. last night. Whoa. Sorry about that, got real close to the camera. So anyway, yeah, we were up pretty much all night. We parked a little bit for probably maybe like 2 or 3 hours at a hotel and just sat there in the car charging. But it was interesting, met a lot of cool people. Some of those people, you know, did all kinds of things. One was this Hispanic math teacher, was pretty cool. His father-in-law was there, older Asian dude who was like super psyched for the iPhone, which is neat to see. You know, technology, it just, you know, it gets everybody interested, and it's the future, man. You know, like I tell my kids, technology is the future. We gotta get y'all hyped about it somehow, you know, building it, writing software, something. Anyway, so yeah, we did the launch last night. It was neat. A lot of people turned out. I think we probably had about 150 probably total by the time they opened up. Early on, there was maybe 30 of us. So one of the guys actually left. He had a pretty good idea to sort of, like, you know, control the madness at 5 o'clock, which is when we can actually get in line. Yeah, so there's that story. Actually, yeah, let's forget the list for now. So when we got there was a couple of security guards. They said, hey, you know, the mall is not gonna let you guys line up until 5 o'clock in the morning. Again, remember, this is like 9 at night, and on top of that, you can't stay on the premises. So we're like, oh crap. You know, what are we gonna do? So we kind of tried to stay there as long as we could, and they drove around and totally busted us and like, hey, get out of here. So yeah, that's when we ended up going to the hotel. But so one guy took off to Walmart, got like poster boards and some markers and stuff like that. And he actually drove some nice looking like lists, you know, like getting everybody in line. He had stickers for like putting numbers on and stuff. And then I spun up a real quick Discord server, got everybody's information, got everybody in there because we need to keep an eye out, make sure nobody, like, you know, try to sneak to the front of the line and sort of like, you know, defeat all of our efforts of getting there early. So it was kind of neat. Like I was wondering if, you know, if any of these people had actually even heard of Discord. Turns out they hadn't, even some of the younger people on my line that were around us. And but they all downloaded the app, they signed up. It was cool, like we were talking, and everybody's, you know, hey, I'm gonna take a nap for an hour, I'm parked over here at this restaurant or whatever. And then about 3:30 we probably started walking up there, and again the same woman security guard with the boot on her foot. She did not look happy. She probably wished she probably would have called in last night. She kept just running us off. So then we walk off, and as you know, anytime there's a group that was there together, everybody just rushed out of their cars and took off running. So we were like, hey, come over here, we got a list going, you know, let's keep this going. And all of those people were totally cool. They're like, yeah, let's get on the list, you know. I'm sure they're gonna have a lot of phones. Yeah, there's already 30 people on this list, but you know, whatever, big deal. You know, we respect that you guys got here before us. That's cool. So we did that. We got like probably 50 or 60 names, and you know, everybody took off for a little bit more, and we got ran off, and then we went back. And when we went back, though, a lot of people, since we were distracting the security guard, a lot of people went up there and jumped in line. There's probably like 50 people, and we're like, ah, crap. You know, are we gonna? It was kind of a mob of us too, so we could have, you know, made a big deal about it, but we were trying not to. But then the police showed up, and they made everybody leave, which kind of helped out, because then everybody got out of the line again. And then we did our best to sort of get back in the front, and there was a couple of guys that were giving us a hard time in the front, and especially we're giving this older Asian guy a hard time at first, and then they kind of backed off and said, all right, man, yeah, you go first. You know, clearly you were the first one here. All of these dudes said, you know, you were here first. So at least they did that. You know, they were still talking a little smack, whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, happened to get one. Got another one for my wife. Not too sure if she's gonna switch over yet. Showed it to her though, and she was really surprised how much smaller the X is. She was expecting a big phone like mine, which to me too, I'm gonna have to get used to this. This feels pretty small. Nowhere near like the 4 that I had back in the day, but this is still pretty small. But yeah, it was fun. You know, like I said, I took my daughter. She's gonna be 16 here pretty soon, and she's turning into a techie, man, which, you know, kind of warms my heart, because that's where I've been all my life. Just everything about electronics, tech, all that. And this is probably our 3rd or 4th sort of like launch event. You know, we did this. We did the PlayStation 4 launch. She went up with me to Best Buy. We did the Borderlands 2 launch. Actually, all my kids did that, at least for most of the night. I think my son went home at one point because it got pretty late. But she's totally hyped. She's like, you know, whenever the next one is, we got to do it because, you know, it's fun, I guess. You know, it's some good one-on-one time with your parent. And as a parent, I love the one-on-one time with my kids too. So definitely had fun with that. I hope she does okay at school today, you know, but she's young. You young people, y'all don't need sleep, right? At least that's how I was. When you get older though, woo, man, it starts hurting. You know, those 4 hours you used to do, can't do that no more. So I'm going to work a lot later than I normally do today, which is kind of unfortunate, but I don't have anything going on until later. Got a big meeting at 4 to pitch a design. But I'll be there late tonight. And again, that's fine, you know, I mean, as long as I didn't block anybody or whatever, which I haven't heard, you know, I got Slack and email and all that stuff on my phone. But as long as I didn't block anybody, makes me feel better, and I'll just work there till whenever tonight. And, you know, the later the better. Sometimes you can listen to your music, you know, without headphones and just concentrate and go. So that's what I'll be doing late tonight. But yeah, I really appreciate you listening to the last video, chatting with me on Twitter. It's really cool to hear that, you know, maybe I hyped some of you guys up and inspired you to go find a good job, you know, find something you like doing, or like the person that was, you know, kind of down on themselves on art, man, just go make it, you know, don't worry about nobody else. It's all about you. You put what you on paper, that's all that matters. That's same goes for everybody. Don't worry about what everybody else says. All right, here come the loud roads again, so hopefully it's not as bad this time, and definitely I hope the camera's not as shaky. So anyway, yeah, like I was saying, I got a design meeting today. I gotta run and pitch an idea. Got a lot of big name people in there that I need to convince that this thing's gonna be great for you guys. For me as a player, I'm pretty excited about it. But like anything else, it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of departments to help out to make it a real thing. So we like to get together and make sure, you know, we can actually do something good. You don't want to just put it in and, you know, only take it so far because you didn't involve everybody. Besides that, I'm working on some social stuff. Might be kind of interesting. I think it'll be interesting. That leverages an open source project that's huge. Runs on a lot of platforms. Depends on a lot of other open source projects. So I spent some time getting that thing to compile, which was pretty good, honestly. Like their documentation on, I think Bitbucket is what they're using. I like Bitbucket. Their documentation is like really well done, I think, for an open source project. The only place it really started falling apart for me was all the command line arguments to the Python scripts, which I don't really know Python. You know, some of our guys at work do. Sounds like something I need to learn at some point. But, you know, being a coder and seeing enough languages, you know, if you are a coder that has a decent amount of experience, you can open it up and kind of get the gist of it and kind of see what's going on. You know, you'll probably see some syntax you don't understand or whatever. But anyway, so they didn't really document the command line arguments very well. But open it up, check it out, and a little bit of testing here and there. I was able to kind of piece them together and search for a couple issues I ran into. But long story short, so that's cool. Yeah, I got a phone call right in the middle of that. Sorry about that. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I got the open source project to build after a couple hours of working through that, working through some, you know, compiler warnings that were treated as errors, you know, that kind of good stuff. So then I moved over to working on this particular thing in the actual engine. That was a whole nother set of problems, obviously, you know, because now you're introducing a big game engine and all that. But I think I'm close. Hoping today we can I can nail that, have the demo going so I can show some people, and then we can make the next call on that. But I'm pretty excited. I think that's going to be neat. It's going to be something that very few games are really diving into right now, and I think we should, as game developers, all dive into this. And, you know, I hope it works out. Even with this demo, like anything else, it's a demo. You know, it's a proof of concept, showing what can be done if we were to keep going and take it all the way across the finish line. And sometimes, you know, sometimes that's a lot more work than you think, you know. Even if you spend a lot of time on a prototype, taking that thing to ship and to be like real quality could be a lot of work. So we'll see how that goes. I'm pretty positive though. I've already warned a few people like this is coming. They're pretty pumped too, I think. So yeah, I keep saying a lot. Anyway, so yeah, that's that. On top of that, see, another coder just started working on this other random feature that we talked about, sort of nailed it down, got it ratified last week. I think I mentioned that in the video last week. Got the big thumbs up from everybody on that. Yeah. So yeah, we're getting on that now. That's gonna be pretty sweet. I can't wait to get that in front of playtesters. Let's check it out, because I have a few ideas too that you know, and others do as well, that areas where we can potentially improve this once we get the baseline functionality in and we can start getting that play tested. But get it in early and be ready to polish that, you know, be ready for that feedback. And speaking of that, you know, when you're building stuff, especially these days, I don't know, you know, not everybody's gonna have this luxury, but depending on what you're working on, web apps, you know, native apps like us as game developers, anything really, anywhere where you can sort of collect some data, I definitely recommend taking the time to really think about, okay, this feature I'm gonna build, how are we gonna know when it's actually working once we ship? I mean, seriously, like, think about that. Okay, let's say we implemented rollerblades for our character. Okay, it's some unlockable thing. We're not doing that, this is just an example. Let's say you implemented rollerblades, right? And the players are gonna find them somewhere and they're gonna put them on. Okay, let's say it takes, shouldn't take this long, but let's say it takes like a month, a man month, right? For all departments, art, animation, sound, all that, code, QA. Okay, so you put it in. So typically what you do is you put it in and, you know, the game ships with all these random features like that. You know, not random, but you know what I mean? Just a bunch of features that you feel pretty good about, that you think people will appreciate and you think your time was worth working on. But today is different. We have a lot of different tools at our disposal. We have the internet, which can transmit a lot of data, a lot of useful data. So what I highly, highly recommend is when you're thinking about that design, and designers should do this too, please do this for your engineers. They will thank you, you know. So what I recommend is state your goals. Like, how are you gonna verify that this was a success? Like, what problem are you addressing? So let's go back to the rollerblades thing. Again, I'm just doing this off the top of my head, so I may have to stop and think about some of this, but let's say normally your game is on foot. Some of your levels are really big though, so somebody, maybe it was you, maybe it's somebody else, whatever, you know, you work as a team, right? Somebody had the bright idea to, man, let's implement some rollerblades to help with all this level traversal, you know. It takes so long to get to point A, point B, we don't have vehicles, we don't have anything. Okay, so that's your problem. Problem is, players are spending a lot of time traversing your levels, and maybe you're either hearing from previous games or your playtesters or whatever, that's just not fun. Okay, rollerblades isn't the only way to fix that. You know, there's a lot of ways you can construct your level where it's fun to traverse. You know, we see a lot of games do that pretty well. But for whatever reason, you think rollerblades are the best, cool. All right, so that's your problem. Your problem is, let's make this more fun to traverse. All right, so your proposed solution is rollerblades. You know, you want to change the transport for the player so it's fun. Cool, that's actually sounds pretty neat, you know. So how do you know if this is gonna work? Get back to that. Telemetry data, track data. So figure out a bunch of data points that you can put in your game to measure and then to pull later on as your game's live, or, you know, even your playtest, you know. Put a bunch of pieces of data in there that you can look at later, like how many times are players picking it up? How many times are players equipping it? Maybe you spend a little bit more code time and actually like track, you know, equipping and unequipping, or, you know, if it's not always active, maybe activate or deactivate. See how much time people are actually spending doing this versus on foot. So think about a bunch of questions that you can answer like that, and then based off of that data, then you can sort of make a pretty good guess on whether or not it's working. But you do need to very clearly define like some measurable goals. Like, we expect players, once they find rollerblades, to use rollerblades, you know, 50% of the time or whatever. And you sort of just set that bar, and then you see if you hit that bar. So I definitely recommend that. That's one thing I've been really focusing on for this project I'm working on. You know, we did it for last project as well. But we're really focusing on that because, man, games are getting harder to make, more expensive to make. So yeah, you just got to use your time wisely, you know. So definitely give that a shot if you can. I'm pretty sure that there's for mobile, you know, there's probably some mobile game engines. I bet Unity probably has some kind of solution for that. But you know, just search for like telemetry, you know, game data, that kind of stuff. Actually, game data is probably not a very good term, but yeah, just search for like game telemetry. There's a policeman supposed to be on my phone, but yeah, search for game telemetry. See if you can find some examples of that, depending on what engine you're in. And I guarantee, like, there's going to be a few examples out there where hopefully they're, you know, open source and free or whatever. But if not, you know, hopefully those solutions are reasonable for you, where you can give that a shot, because I think you'll really like that. And you'll learn, you know, even if those rollerblades aren't used, that's useful, right? Because you don't want to go make a second pair and a third pair and a fourth pair, or expand it to bicycles or, you know, some other kind of form of transportation. Maybe your foot traversal is actually better than you thought. Okay, so there's that little tip. All right, let me do a little short clip showing you what it looks like to drive into Frisco. Here's downtown Frisco, sort of that older town look. Older buildings, probably what people think Texas looks like everywhere, which is not exactly true. You don't see any horses, right? That's what every time I went back to California to visit my mom and our friends over there, people always gave me a hard time, like, how many horses do you own? Where's your boots? Where's your cowboy hat? That's what people think. They think everything's like in the movies, right, or whatever. But that's actually not the case. So there's downtown over there. You don't really have a frame of reference, but it's building out. Like Frisco is building up quick. It's pretty cool. Looks like we got a train right here. There's an old granary right there that's not being used. Used to have some other storage buildings next to it that blew down. Actually, there's a tornado that rolled through here about a year ago, and it didn't actually hit, but the winds were enough that just totally destroyed the aluminum stuff. Looks like this train's gonna last for a minute. Over here on the right's kind of neat. Kind of got that taco truck Austin feel to it. You know, those are real popular in Austin and starting to show up a lot around here too, which people love. All right, here we go. So we cleared up. So from here you can kind of see the FC Dallas soccer stadium. You used to be able to see our building pretty good, but now they're building a parking garage right there, which is quite tall and it actually goes underground. It's kind of crazy. Okay, those 4 policemen. I'm glad they didn't see me holding the camera up. So yeah, there's a bunch of cranes over here working on the FC Dallas stadium. They're building a Hall of Fame area of the stadium, which is gonna be pretty cool. This is my team right here, FC Dallas. All right, so yeah, here's a downtown area, and there's a gearbox right there, the furthest brown building. Probably can't see in the video, but there's actually a gearbox logo way up at the top, really subtle. There's Nirvana. There's actually a Nirvana sort of video game restaurant bar, and then next to that is a Nirvana coffee and games, like board games kind of things. Really neat and really popular too. Has good ideas from Randy and his wife and his brother-in-law. And over here we got some more cool downtown stuff, and then got the library down there for Frisco. So yeah, let me get off of here. We are at work.